All right. Well, I am Brandon Wheatley, and I'm here with Kevin Williams and Muley. Kevin, I'm kind of a newbie to all of this stuff. I've been telling people this would have been my third year to go, and I don't think I've caught one of Muley's shows before. Give me a little bit of an introduction to Muley.
All right. Well, as you said, I'm Kevin Williams. I'm a cartoonist, a puppeteer. I'm a cartooning puppeteer who investigates the paranormal. So, uh,
Okay.
pretty much anything anybody has to say to me is never going to be weird. Uh,
Good
but,
to know.
huh?
So it's good to know.
Definitely, definitely. So, that being the case, I'll just jump back in time that when I was a kid growing up, there were a couple of things that inspired me. And those things happened to be the first things I can remember ever seeing on TV, which was Peanuts and Sesame Street. And having watched both of those, obviously, that inspired me into this whole other realm of creativity. The paranormal investigation part of it came because when I grew up, around a lot of country people, there were tons of ghost stories, and we'll save all of that for a different thing. Today, I just wanted to talk about Muley and share some details with him because it is his 40th year this year.
All
Yay!
right.
Muley started January 1st, 1980, and he was not originally a mule, which is kind of funny. I wanted to create my own series of characters. I wanted them all to be dogs because I knew a couple. And on January 1st, 1980, I held a drawing out to my grandfather and I said, "Hey, look, what do you think?" He goes, "Well, that's Muley looking, ain't it?" I said, well, he's a farmer. I thought I drew a dog, but obviously it's a mule. So I created Muley the Mule that day and put the name to it and everything. And a couple of other drawings came after that, but the earliest drawing that I have left, let's see if I can put this up here without a glare. There, can we see it?
Just barely. Yeah, there we go. It's coming into
Yeah.
focus.
So this is the earliest Muley the Mule that I've got left in my collection. And on the other side of it is a title page. Because, when you're a kid, you create your little collection of comic characters. And that's where that all came from. But yeah, they were initially supposed to be dogs. And when you look initially, you can see the Peanuts inspiration in here with the droopy ears like Snoopy's, the little bitty fingers like Charlie Brown characters have, and then those little I don't know, bread loaf feet with the lines for toes. So when I was a kid, I was creating based off of what I knew, and that was what I knew. From that point on, just going over from 1980 forward in time there, of course, Muley ended up published in all kinds of publications, and I was trying to find those here to share. One of which was an international journal for the Donkey and Mule Society called the Brayer. So yeah, there's a whole society for actually breeding donkeys and mules, and it's international. So that was kind of a fun thing to do there, and that was one of the first major publications he was in as a comic strip, local newspapers, school papers, college papers, all of those types of things, of course. And then as we continued, we got into websites, we got into all these other types of publications, and eventually I did a collection that is still available sometimes when I put it on the internet, but the Muley's Comics and Stories, we did that one eventually. And other than that, the other comics collections that I've been a part of have been with Shinobi Ninja Princess, which the Wades were on talking earlier today. We started out, Anton and I, together in college, doing Jetta Tales of the Toshigawa, and he would help me with my stuff. I would help him with his stuff. We got Janet involved. We became a force to be reckoned with, and we just kept publishing and publishing. But when I started creating the characters as a kid, one of the things I wanted to make sure that I did was to create personalities in a way that kind of helps them to become more likable. And whenever anybody is creating and you get into storytelling, you do want to have their background stories. You want to know where they're coming from, so that way you can figure out where they're going to. For me as a kid, it was mostly just personality that I was trying to create from. So for example, Muley the Mule is leader of their pack, or their group of friends, but yeah, their pack. He usually leads them into misadventures because of misunderstandings or misconceptions. His very best friend is Buford the dog. Everybody says it's man's best friend. Muley says it's mule's best friend. Don't argue with him on that. But Buford the dog's his best friend. He's the one who really thinks more about what they're getting into, but still goes along for the ride because it's fun. Roy Duck, he's Muley's other best friend, who he's quiet, he's flighty. Those types of personalities together can, I guess, probably be dangerous. But he still is a nice guy, likes to have fun with his friends, of course. And then there's Missy Mule, who she's his friend. He's her. We're not sure what she thinks he is to her. She loves him. She wants to be more than friends, but that's typically only until something better comes along, like somebody with a bag of candy, and then that's who she'll chase after till the candy runs out, and then she's back to Muley. So it's kind of fun to play those characters out, I guess. But we got them all together. We did comic strips. We did a couple comic stories, and we did the international journals for that. But as time went on, when it came to creating the characters and drawing the characters, I started to come up with my own little bit of a technique for doing that, which if anybody is going to create a character, I always suggest to find their best technique so that when you look at it, you're able to know who that is distinctly. There's a couple of my friends that when I look at their art, I know exactly which one of my friends it is doing that artwork. So I love that. But I can, is it okay if I draw him?
Yeah.
Yeah. Is there anybody, no questions yet? So I'll go over here and draw. If anybody has questions, feel free to post them or ask them or something there. So one of the main things, and this even comes in when I'm doing puppetry as well. Hey, look how dark I am. How about that? Now you can't see anything. It's too bright. But one of the main things that I always talk about when I'm talking doing cartooning, when I'm talking about puppetry, is that you want to make sure that your eyes of your characters are seen, because always the eyes are the most important part of any conversation of a person. Whenever I'm looking at somebody, I'm looking at their eyes. When they're talking to me, I'm looking at their eyes. Right. If it's Wonder Woman, different story. But so when I draw Muley, I always start with his eyes first. So is this visible on? Oh, it is. Okay.
Oh yeah. Yep.
All right. So I always start with his eyes first. Just big oval orbs, right? Makes it nice and easy to see those eyeballs. And then I give him some eyebrows, because eyebrows help to share emotion. You can tell if he's thinking, if he's mad, if he's questioning something, curious, whatever there. And then he's got a big mouth. Not just because he's a puppet, but he's just got a big mouth. He's a mule. They do, right? Let's see. And
what are you drawing, sir?
I'm drawing Muley. I don't draw much else.
And then Kevin, I was going to say, as you're drawing, I guess I have a quick question. Has Muley's style changed over the years?
Very much so. I mean, if I go from this original drawing of him to today,
yeah,
he's a lot more equine. I drew him with droopy ears originally for about 20 years. I drew him with droopy ears. And I finally sat down with a couple of cartoonist friends, the Wades, Greg Cravens, Lynn Workman, and had some conversations with them about characters and character art and what I wanted to do, because I had this little period of time where I was studying the comic strips and other types of work that were, how's that look? Does that look like Muley? Yeah,
Sure does.
And yep, there he is. And but after having those conversations with him, he went from being a character that was too flat, which was almost sort of the same thing he is now, but his ears back then drooped down and he looked more like this. As a matter of fact, when I drew him out back then, people thought he was a monkey as opposed to being a mule, which I always thought was kind of a funny thing. And that design actually carried over into the first puppet. So I did the Muley and Friends comics for years. He had that look with the droopy ears to start with. And then in 1990, 90 on purpose, I chose that date because the cartoon was January 1st, 1980 is when I named him. I made the first puppet of Muley. So I want to bring him up here just so that everybody can see that. And it's not a well-made little dude here, so I'll bring him up for you to see it. And I am a train wreck. So here you can see he's got the droopy ears. He's still got his big eyes and a big nose, huh? So this design is really different than what he became in years later. As a matter of fact, even the material is bad. So
did you make that yourself?
Yes. January 1st, 1980. As a matter of fact, back then he had a great big long tail that when I drew him, I don't know why I had him have such a long tail. And everybody, when we had our little meeting about the character, they also said, hey, let's shorten that tail down because right now that's why people think he's a monkey. Wow. And I can see it. You know, when you look at it, he looks like he would be Muley the monkey. That's actually kind of a neat idea. Anyways, so we had Muley as a little puppet back then that we started out. But I guess it was in the late 90s, maybe the early 2000s. I want to say it was probably 2000 that we started going into Metropolis. And Lynn Workman was invited up. He told me to come along. I went with him, and we set up a little table, and I had the Muley puppet there. And I walked around with the Muley puppet to visit everybody that I could. I had him on the street. I had him everywhere. He was just so much fun. And he got invited out to do not just his own show eventually, but I guess one of the favorite things everybody loves is his kids' costume contest when he gets to go out and host that. And I kind of have fun with that too, you know, as long as we don't have too many kids, because after a while doing this kind of wears out. And eventually start watching the puppet itself to make sure that it's talking, because one year we had 47 kids or something. But eventually we ended up just creating Muley in his own SuperMule costume. So what we did is we came up with that. Oh, look, he's flying 3D. Ow! But we had SuperMule created then, and we did our own show based around it, SuperMule and the Cookie Caper, which had pretty much the whole cast of characters, which was, you know, Buford, Missy, Roy Duck, Captain Davis, Santa Fish, Frankie Sinatra, and Death, who tends to be our comedy relief, really. So, so that's always a fun character to have on the stage as well. But if you're not familiar with the Santa Fish or with any of the other characters, then maybe next year we'll be able to do Superman Celebration, and we can all get together then for that. Are there any other questions or anything? None?
I have a question.
Okay.
How old are you?
I'm 47. I'm old.
I resemble that remark.
Well, you know, it's, there's people who are older than me, and you know, it's like I say,
I'm
you're
7.
you feel, right? You're only as old as you feel, and I don't feel like dirt yet. But there have been times in my life where I felt like I was about to push up daisies. And luckily, I haven't yet. But it's a coming. So anyways.
Not for a very long time.
Hopefully for all of us, not for a very long time. And I'm glad to see Jeffrey here, by the way. I haven't seen that face in far too long.
Me neither.
I'm sorry.
Well, you could shave.
Yeah. Too lazy.
Oh, gotcha. I shaved just before this, as a matter of fact, because I noticed that in the screen it looked like I had too much shadow. I said, oh, I'm gonna clean up a little bit for everybody. So, congratulations, everybody. Anyway, so I did. One of the plans was to have Muley do something today for everybody. Oh, I need to grab this. I didn't think about this. With the SuperMule costume character, which you'll see in a bit, that Muley has an alternate personality. I made a full-size costume for myself, and this was, besides some blue goggles that I would put on, I had this hat that I would wear to make myself be the human version of SuperMule. And that was kind of ridiculous because I had to get very large blue underwear to wear outside of my pants. And that was crazy. And so I've talked about Muley. I've talked about his 40 years on this planet. I can bring him up if anybody wants to say hi.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'll get him up here. Give me just a second. I see a lot of people recognize, and I'm glad for that.
Yeah. And we're glad to see you too, Muley.
Yes. So, what's everybody doing?
Staying isolated.
That's a good thing to do. It's safe.
I'm bagging and boarding comic books.
How many comic books have you got?
I don't have hardly a lot, but I went out shopping today. I bought a bunch of X-Men. I bought a new Batman graphic novel. I bought a 80th anniversary Joker with the blank cover. So I'm going to give one to my friend, and hopefully he'll do a really good drawing on it.
Oh, I see one over there. I saw it. So anyways, yeah, so we're here. We're in our little studio space, and this is where we do all of our work from, the living room.
Nice.
And, you know, what we like to do here is we like to do some videos that are based around the comic strips. And we like to, and I speak. I have a speaking part for church. That'll happen tomorrow, as a matter of fact, where I'm talking about community. And that's an important thing, whether you're talking about church stuff or you're talking about not church stuff. Community is important because having your friends together and having the people you know and love with you is a very important thing to have. Because if you don't have that, what you got? Nothing. Nothing. So we like having our friends together. And as a matter of fact, my friends are not here. So there's that. But yeah. So anyways. If you guys want to hear what I have to say about the community, I don't mind sharing that. But otherwise, so what we like to do here is we like to do different things that are not just educational, but that have a moral to them, and that also help people to feel comfortable and feel welcome and friendship and love. So one of the other things that I've started doing lately is a project called Muley Reads. Yeah, and if you haven't seen that, then you probably should. Anyhow, so I come in and I do an introduction, and then I read one of my favorite books. And one of my favorite books that I read recently is a book that's called Litter Bugs Are Everywhere. No, litter bugs come in every size. That's the name of it. Litter bugs come in every size. The literal translation of that is litter bugs are everywhere. So anyways, but I had a chance to read that, and I show the illustrations from the book and completely break the copyright laws. But they're still fun to share. So that's a newer thing that I've been doing this year, not because I couldn't read before, but because I have just been sitting around here a whole lot lately. And I'm going to tell you, when you see four walls, you've seen them all.
Mm-hmm. Have to watch out for the speed trap between the living room and the hallway.
I know. I know. And you know, the worst part of it is not just a speed trap, but there's this whole thing, don't run through the house law. Ugh, it's boring. Yeah. So are there any questions for me?
Well, you mentioned that unfortunately, I guess you're also having to self-isolate. So who would have been with you?
Oh, well, I've got my friends. You know, we all live here. They're just some other part of the house right now. I don't know
Oh, okay,
that, but,
okay.
But yeah, so there's Buford the dog, Missy Mule, and Roy Duck. And actually, Missy lives across the street at Nora's house, so she stays there with her. And then the boys, we all live here with Jonathan, and that's part of the storyline. Kevin lives here sometimes, but we don't pay much attention to him. He's the speed bump in the hall. A huge bump. Yeah. But what we've been doing in the meantime, though, we've done video where we're reading the books. We're reading books, and we've got a new one that's coming up soon that's going to be between me and Missy, and that video will be out this week, I think. And then a couple of other ones are coming after that, and some comic strips that star us in them as well. Yes. But tomorrow morning, of course, I'll be doing the kids costume contest at noon.
Mm-hmm.
So that'll be a lot of fun to do that, because we do that every year. And that'll be a blast. And then I see a question here that says, what do I do to pass the time during this time? Well, during this time, to pass the time, I take the time to watch some very important television programs. Looney Tunes, I watch some of that. Yeah. And I watch some other things. But, and you know, if you can find it, mostly on the YouTube, you can find some of the good old Superman George Reeves movies and cartoons, rather. The TV shows, the old TV shows. And that is classic television. That's real TV back then. I like that. So, and then that Superman show is what kind of inspired us. And once we got to Superman Celebration, to create the character of SuperMule.
Yeah.
Ain't that super? Yeah. So, anyway, so yeah, what's everybody else do to pass the time?
Well, I actually do a little drawing myself.
Oh, show us something.
Well, actually, hold on.
Okay.
All right. So I'm I teach graphic design now, but I used to do it in industry. But anyway, so I was actually trying to come up with a little logo for our lobby parties. And so this was the drawing. Well,
nice.
I'm calling it Helix and Chill. And I've actually got it all colored up. I'll try to throw it up maybe during one of the other panels, right quick, or make it my screenshot or something. But so
you said throw up.
Do what?
You said throw up.
Well, I mean, put it on the screen. Sorry, Muley.
Oh, okay.
Messy screen there.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about everybody else? I see lots of people there. Nobody else is doing anything during this time. You're just existing.
Well, I know. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Jeffrey.
I've been writing.
Oh.
Writing scripts.
Yeah?
Yeah.
For you or for who?
For everybody else, pretty much.
That's fun.
I finished a stage play and 2 screenplays.
Neat. I love that.
Since March.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Since March, and it's only June.
Yeah.
I don't really have a watch on there, by the way.
Well,
and I don't think you
time
can
doesn't mean much of anything right now anyway.
No. Mm-hmm. But that's a lot of good work that you've done there. That's exciting.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And are you going to be in the play?
No.
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 Is there a role for a very handsome talking mule in a play?
Well, with some costuming changes, maybe.
Yeah, I got some good costumes. I can put on some costumes.
Mm-hmm. Because one of the there's going to be one male actor but there's 4 female actors.
I want the role of the male.
Yeah, that's a good choice. The one male plays about 8 different characters. So it's going to be
So
like.
if you got one that's easier.
Well, no, that's the only male part. That's the only parts for a male actor.
Are the female parts shorter? Easier?
No.
Oh.
3 of the female parts are just them throughout the whole play, and the other female part is also about 6 parts for the one female actor.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, but no parts for mules, just males and females that have a lot of roles, right?
Have a lot of roles. Yeah.
Lots
I'll
of
see what I
roles.
can do about writing one for you.
Okay. All right, we'll do that. Because
Okay.
the last one that we had was this one here, and somebody's been lazy and hasn't written me a new stage play in quite a while. I'm looking at this.
We're going to
guy.
have to do something about that.
I
We're
know.
definitely going to have to do something about that.
I mean, I suppose I could kick him.
There you go.
I think we heard that one.
I didn't really kick him. I just
Oh.
stomped the floor.
Oh.
I'm not mean like that.
No.
What's everybody else been doing? So like this time of the year, we're usually up in, you know what I don't miss? Sweating my head off. Like up there in Metropolis, I usually sweat to death.
Oh, yeah.
But I've got a fur coat on all the time, so that kind of, heats me up there a little bit, So, yeah.
Yeah, and then sometimes, you wear the costume, you wear the Clark Kent, and that's like a black suit in the sun, and you gotta be, yeah.
And then there's that time I put on some makeup, and I dressed my face up like a bad guy. You remember that?
Mm-hmm.
Vaguely,
You do remember it?
I
know.
Oh.
Oh, I'm being silly now. So yeah. And then I see a note down here. So yeah, we'll share our website links and everything on the page for the event today, and we can make that a happening thing. So yeah, we'll do that. Thank you for asking for that, y'all. And then I had a question that was on the edge of my tongue and I let it slip off. That happens, wet tongue. So yeah, anyway, so I don't know if, do you think we're able to share our little music video or not?
We can give it another shot.
Okay.
I'm watching stuff pretty, or I'm going to try to watch it pretty closely. You want me to start it from the beginning there, Muley?
Sure.
All right.
I wanted to do it live, but when you Zoom, music doesn't come through quite so good.
Yeah. All right.
So I just recorded it about an hour or 2 hours ago or whatever.
All right. Let me go ahead and try to share the screen.
Okay.
All right. And everybody see the screen?
Yes.
All right. So.
I took a walk around the world to ease my troubled mind. I left my body lying somewhere in the sands of time. I watched the world look to the dark side of the moon. I feel there's nothing I can do. I watched the world look to the dark side of the moon. After all, I knew it had to be something to do with you. I really don't mind what happens now and then, as long as you'll be my kryptonite. If I go crazy, then will you still call me Superman? If I'm alive and well, will you be there holding my hand? Now keep me by my side with my super Muley, my kryptonite. If I go crazy, then will you still call me Superman? If I'm alive and well, will you be there holding my hand? Now keep me by my side with my super Muley, my kryptonite.
All right. Way to go, Muley.
Thank you.
Oh, and I love your costume.
Huh?
I said, I love your costume.
Oh, thank you. You mean the one I had on the video or this one?
Yeah, well, I mean your
Kidding.
superhero costume.
Kidding. I wear this one all the time. But yeah, thank you. I like that little superhero costume. It's kind of fun. Yeah. So, yeah, so, you know, over time, what's one of the fun things to notice is, you know, we come to Metropolis, we do all the different shows. My friends and I like to sing little songs and things, and we do some little dance. Well, we don't do dance numbers that you can see because, you know, well, you just can't see the feet dance. But anyways, so one of the neat things is not only have we been on stage and television, we've done radio shows, and we've done, which, you know, puppets on a radio show. That's kind of an interesting thing all its own, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
Barkley. So if it's good enough for Charlie and Mortimer, it's good enough for the rest of us, I guess, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so, but we've done different, and a couple of different documentaries. There were 2, I think, shot in Metropolis, and I was in 2 of those, and that was fun. But then also, you know, we've not done movies yet. But my friend Jeffrey said he's going to write one for me. Anyways,
Sure, why not?
but, you know, huh?
Why not?
Tell me. But we've done 2 television shows, and we've had some good friends help us with that. So, you know, just backing up a little bit, you know, my best friends are really close to Kev's best friends. You know, Kevin and I have a little understanding. He assists me with a lot of other things I do. And then my buddy Buford the dog, he has an assistant named Marthias Wade, and Janet Wade assists Missy Mule, and DeMarco Randall is an assistant to Roy Duck. Those are my friends that are assisted by Kevin's friends, and so that all works out just well, right? Yeah. But we've done 2 television shows. We had help getting there with our buddy Brad. He's in Brad Alsobrook. That's in our chat here with us today. And we did we also had Ed Griffith shoot that, and our 2 humans in that was Jonathan McCarver and Nora Childers, who kept their names for the show because it was easier for me to remember that. Yeah. So I didn't forget their character names because it was the same as their real names, and that made it easier for me. Yeah. But we did those, and that was a lot of fun to do that. I thought I heard a question. But, you know, when we got in and we did those shows, one of the main things that we thought about was what could we teach not only kids, but also parents? So the first episode was called Millionaire Magazines. And basically I found not a bill, but I found this advertisement in the television program that, yeah, we still have television programs where I'm at. But anyhow, but there was a little advertisement in there. I read it, and it says, you may already be $1 million winner. And I figured, well, it was addressed to Jonathan. So what I did is I took his debit card and I called it in. And I figure if you can win $1 million, that you could probably win $1 million by ordering a couple magazines. I just went for the whole gaga. I bought them all. Yeah. So we had a little bit of a disaster by the end of the show. Anyhow, but after he got his blood vessels to go down in his temples, we had a conversation. And what we learned in all of that, what we learned was that there's ways that if I want to help, mainly by asking, can I help, right? Instead of just jumping right in and taking somebody's credit card and spending $7,000. But, you ask, can I help? And then if you mess up and you tried to help, but you messed everything up, then you try to figure out what you can do to fix the problem, right? So, and then Jonathan also learned in all of that what to do to teach me the right way of doing things, see? He didn't beat me. He didn't yell and holler. He sat me down and he says, hey, what'd you do? Well, after he caught me, because I did run. No, I didn't. But I wanted to. Anyhow, he sat me down and he says, hey, what'd you do? And I had to explain it. And then he asked me what was a good way to fix it. So I made sure that we returned all the magazines. But not the comic strips. We kept the comic books. As a matter of fact, Brown Coat Cal is bagging most of them now for me.
My wife, Rebecca, those are her X-Men comics.
Rebecca.
They're mine.
The X-Men comics are hers.
Okay, well then just send me all the rest of them.
Yeah, who could have all the rest of them?
Okay.
I just want the X-Men ones.
Everybody heard you say I can have them.
We have to get you into the comic strips there too.
A human in the comic strips?
No, Muley. You.
Yeah. I like being in comic strips. That's the easiest thing I got to do right there, being in a comic strip. You just pose for an image, and then you move to the next image, and then you move to the next image.
There you go.
And that's a comic strip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't do any of the drawing yourself?
No, I just star in them.
Okay.
Sounds like
I don't do the hard work. I leave that labor to,
Yeah.
that Kevin guy.
No.
I think if you take each of the pages and flip through them, it'll look like a movie.
But see, then we have to take a whole lot more pictures. That would be like, take a picture, 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 and then there's like 32 of those. And, that's why I understand that's why this version of me exists, because Jeffrey, don't look, somebody's behind you. But hi.
You're supposed to say hi to Muley.
Oh, I'm sorry. Hi, Muley. Hi.
Hi.
This is Naomi.
Mwah.
What to you too? You're lovely.
You are.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
Nice to meet you.
You too. See you later.
Bye-bye.
Oh, I like this talking to people stuff.
Yeah. She assists me in a lot of things.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. I forgot what I was talking about, though.
You were talking about being in movies. And, comic strip being like a movie, and then you'd have to...
Oh, yeah. So certain people named Kevin just didn't have the attention span or the patience to create animation. And this was the easy way out, I guess.
But he had the attention span to create a puppet.
What puppet? What?
Rude, Steve.
I'm sorry.
I'm sure he meant Kevin.
Yes.
Yeah, the money's just right. You can get him to do just about anything.
That shows he's in performing arts.
Yeah. Except nobody wants to see him perform.
Oh, come on, Muley.
No, I've heard him sing. I've been close to the bathroom door before when he was showering. Let me tell you how much you want to hear that. So anyway, But yeah, so I've had a lot of fun here today talking to everybody, and I've had a couple. I haven't had many questions come through, but so that's good. I didn't study for any tests, so that makes it fine for me. And I'm just looking forward to next year when we get to Metropolis, and I'm hoping that everybody shows up and that we can all get together and do a show. And heck, who knows? Maybe we can do a big blowout program, some sort of epic thing like back in the old days when they did Night of 100 Stars. We'll have to go back to those kinds of things, but this time it'll be Night of 100 Super Friends.
Oh,
That would be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, wouldn't it? And then everybody gets up and sings.
Well, I'll tell you what.
I'll listen. I'm not the singer I was, and even then I wasn't.
Well, tell you what, Muley, we're kind of getting to that mark. Can you tell us where fans can find you and Kevin, assuming he's got some social medias out there?
He does, but they're boring. So mine, I am on Facebook. I have Muley the Mule. I'm listed as Muley the Mule on Facebook, duh. And I've got he and I share Twitter, and we share a Instagram.
Okay.
He's lazy. Anyways, and you can also find us on muleythemule.com, my name, no spaces.com, and also on muleyshow.com. That's where we share things of, different whatevers. I don't know. Muley Reads is on there and things like that. So, hey, Roy Duck. He just went down the hall, so I don't know if you heard him. He says, hey.
Okay.
Oh,
Well, tell him
But yeah, so muleyshow.com, muleythemule.com, Muley the Mule on Facebook, Kevin Muley on Instagram, and also I think the same thing on Twitter. I don't know. I don't really mess with those other two very often. But once in a while I get to share stuff on the Facebook, and that's fun.
So you're really out there.
Boy, am I ever out there. I'm way out there, pal.
Way out there.
Yes. And I'm looking forward to seeing everybody else on the internet there, and also seeing some other. I want to see some artwork. So if you guys have artwork, share it online and tag me. And if you do funny videos, I want you to tag me in that because I like to laugh. Yeah. See, I like to do it so much, I even fake it. And yeah. So yeah, it's been fun. So everybody, I've had a great time here today. And I look forward to seeing you all in person and getting a hug. But for now, let's just get a virtual hug. Here you go.
There you go.
There you are.
yes.
That's
Thank
nice.
you. That was good.
Thank you. All righty. Well, everybody, it's been fun, and I'll sign off here, and I'll let Brandon do his part next. Brandon, nice to meet you. When you come to Metropolis next time, make sure you come by and say hey.
Absolutely. I'm going to have to start checking out your show every year. So it was nice to meet you.
Please do.
All right. We'll do.
All right. And everybody, just remember, Muley loves you. Mwah!
And we all love Muley.
Yeah, we love you too, bud. All right. Well, I guess that's going to wrap up the Muley panel. So be on the lookout for Aaron Smolinski. And I will see you guys in there. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.